LA's been on fire. You were out there for that?
Yeah, I was.
How was that?
Yeah, and are they still going on?
Right.
I mean, we got rain, today
Okay.
and
Oh,
last
all right.
night, luckily,
Thank God.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now everybody's worried about mudslides.
Oh man.
So when the
Jeez.
fires first popped off, it was weird. It felt apocalyptic, and
Yeah.
there was a heavy haze basically everywhere. And people were leaving or staying inside, and the power went off in our neighborhood, not because of the fires, but because these fires spread so because the wind, and so wind was blowing over trees and knocking down power lines all over the city as well.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
so the first couple days were tense. There was a heavy smoke in my neighborhood. We had no power. I was on my phone trying to keep tabs on the fires. There weren't the first day there weren't any fires near us, but we do live close to a park hill kind of situation. So we were like, if there's a fire there, then we will go.
Right.
And then I think it was the second night that the Sunset Fire took off near Chateau Marmont and the old Sunset area. And at that time, I was hired to do a couple days on a show that was shooting in Hollywood, and those days canceled, and then my wife's work canceled. And our phone was just blowing up from people worrying, and I was staying up all night while my wife was sleeping just to keep eyes on updates. And we're like, let's just leave for a few days. We're not working, so let's get out of town. Might as well.
Yep.
So we ended up leaving town for 4 days, and when we came back last Tuesday, we both immediately went back to work. The skies were blue again. The fires were still kind of happening, but
wow,
you wouldn't know it. And I was shooting on a lot in Culver City, which is just south of the Palisades in Beverly Hills by a couple miles. And you just wouldn't know. There was no smell of smoke. The skies were blue. It was, everybody just kind of forgot. I think Angelinos have a really good ability to, if it's not directly in front of them, they're just going to go about their business and continue to, live, I guess.
So that kind of leads into what I was going to ask. Do you think the fires will affect the psyche of people in LA? Are they going to vote differently, do you think? Or does this change the way they view their government?
No, they forgot about it. They're what fires? They don't even know it's
terrible.
They've totally forgotten about it by now.
That's
At
insane.
least in my opinion, which is a damn shame.
Someone in our chat said they always dump rain after intentional fires.
Well, dump rain from the fake clouds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, obviously. I saw Jimmy
It's
Dore.
a movie set. They just get the
Jimmy Dore posted something earlier about hail. I'm like, oh, they turned on the hail machine, Jimmy, because they turned on the hail machine in DC.
We need to vote in, the head of ARP or whatever as our new governor, just so he can have the cloud machines ready to go.
Right. At least have better access to your weather control. I mean, you are LA.
Right.
It could help the whole film industry if you could
speaking
create
of
the weather.
Wizard of Oz, it's like the man behind the curtain.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that is LA. It's our whole government system, honestly.
No, but it's a damn shame though, because it was totally avoidable. This is stuff that people have been talking about for years, and we have fires every year.
Yep.
And it's always been a problem of forest management. California has some of the most beautiful wilderness in the world.
Agreed.
I spend a lot of time there. Anytime I'm not working, I'm outside of the city basically. And you come across fires every single year. And Newsom and Karen Bass and all these people don't understand how lucky they are to be the stewards of this land.
Yeah.
However, their radius of concern rarely leaves the walls of whatever special interest luncheon that they're at. They don't care. They don't think about it. They don't think about the wilderness. They don't think about anything outside of the cities. It's just not of their concern. And it's unforgivable in my opinion, because to be blessed to be in this land and have access to this kind of landscape and to not be a good steward of it, I think is an unforgivable crime.
I totally agree. The first time I was in LA was, I think, December 2021 or 2022. And that state is painfully beautiful. I've been back a bunch now. It is so freaking beautiful. I can't believe it. Like I miss it. You know, obviously there's lots of problems out there, but I'm from New York, so I'm used to a beautiful state with lots of problems politically. But it's just there's nothing like that state. It's unbelievable. And watching it burn was incredibly sad. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's you never hear about it. You never hear about the wilderness unless it's on fire, basically. And then
Mm.
it's, they get away with it because they kind of like, just vaguely signal towards the kind of like progressive ideologies of, oh, climate change and this and that. And so we just kind of ignore the fact that, like, no, this was an abject failure on a very practical way, that could have been avoided if they would just pull their head out of their ass and look outside the cities for 1 minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, they refuse.
Yeah. It's too bad. So before we wrap this up, you were saying how you are trying to, like, I don't know, move on spiritually, I guess. Is it because the habits of what you've done since you were 16, they're kind of hard, some things to like think about or to give up thinking about? And are you like trying to read new things or like look at the Bible differently now that you're on this side of the thing?
Yes, yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the difficulty comes from just the old habits die hard. It's been what, 20 plus years at this point,
Right.
21 years,
Right.
um, that I've kind of like been down that path, and it's it's difficult and it's frustrating, especially when you feel like uh, you've been shown the way and you're having trouble getting there,
Hmm.
um, because you still have like the hooks of whatever dug within your back, and you're trying to break free of it.
Mm.
It is a struggle every single day. Um, I'm finding success. Yes, I am looking at the Bible differently. Um, Credit where credit's due to old, Jordan Peterson and the sorts like that. Somebody
Hmm.
that was able to have me look at a religion that I once discarded as being um, antiquated,
Hmm.
um, as an actually like beautiful story of metaphor and allegory, um, that it, which is obvious now that, like, sure, yeah, at the time we were trying to like uh, talk about the idea of setting yourself straight and envy, but we didn't have the vocabulary at the time. But we were storytellers, like we had oral tradition, and so instead of like using words like envy and resentment and all this stuff, we get the story of like Cain and Abel, and like it's the way that we translated complex ideas, was through story, because I was able to have a new relationship sort of with the Bible and with Christianity, on a larger scale. Um, I There have been moments when I'm like on long drives alone in my car, and I'm thinking or listening to music, and I will have there will be references to Christ, and I will have a physical emotional reaction. And I feel like there are times when he's trying to tell me. I've been struggling with the idea of feeling undeserving of of being back in his good graces, uh, because I've come to this kind of like understanding that, like, God is good and God is truth, and I think Christ might be the way. Yes, this is all starting to become clear, which is, it seems crazy by some. Like, if I would talk to a bunch of other occultists kind of about this, they usually say like, oh, everybody's a Christian until they start reading the Bible and studying Christianity, and then you realize blah blah blah, and you grow out of it. But like, I've read almost everything about every religion and every occult practice everywhere, and it's like a semi truck with its high beams on coming right at me, the signal that like Jesus Christ is the truth. Um, so
I would say that the voice of Christ was that voice in your head telling you not to do those rituals, and that
yeah,
you weren't totally out of his graces. He was there telling you like, don't do that, and still protecting you. And the Bible is amazing. It's crazy. And also I was thinking, about stuff that I read that was really good was the Flannery O'Connor stories, because we were talking about earlier people who just go about the motions with whatever religion they think they're a part of, and then people who are devout within that religion, or trying their best at least, or at the least thinking deeply about why they feel a certain way when it comes to God. And she wrote about that all the time. She's one of my favorite writers. I think she was, I forget, she's probably Catholic. But she was incredibly, I don't know if you've read her before, but she was incredibly violent, and she would punish these characters who said they were one way and not the other. Very Old Testament, but modern for her time in terms of cruelty and punishment, and thinking deeply about what it means to believe, and try to be a good person. But yeah, she was like someone I still read a lot when it comes to all that stuff. But
what's this person's name again?
Flannery O'Connor.
Flannery O'Connor.
Her famous story, her famous short story is "A Good Man Is Hard to Find." But she's got she was mostly a short story writer. She wrote one novel or maybe two, but her short stories are incredible, and they're great. I think they made a movie about her recently. I forget who it was, but I didn't see it yet, so I don't know anything about that. But her stories live forever and are very, very, very good.
Cool. I'll look into it. Actually, one person that actually who I've heard talk about Christianity or Catholicism specifically, who I found to be one of the most compelling, is actually Seamus Coughlin.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Which I've just been so, the way that he speaks about it hits me kind of like in a way that like a lot of others don't, and like it's he's just a guy, but like the way that he speaks about scripture and everything I find utterly compelling.
Yep, he was going to be a priest, then he became a cartoonist. It's true. He was on an early version of this show back in the old studio. We had him on, and he told us that. I love the way he talks about it. And another person, if you're interested, and one of the big writers who helped push me along was C.S. Lewis, who's another convert, atheist to Christian, and Mere Christianity is incredible. Obviously, you might have read Narnia as a kid, and worth reading as an adult, but his stuff on Christianity is just next level. Actually, the best, and maybe something that would be most appealing to you right now because of L.A. and being surrounded by demons, is the Screw Tape Letters. It's a very short novel about two demons talking about how to subvert the minds of the innocent.
It looks like the movie you were talking about could be Wildcat, directed by Ethan Hawke.
It's Ethan Hawke, yeah. It's him and his
daughter.
Yep.
Yeah, she plays her.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good or not, but I do kind of like Ethan Hawke.
I do too.
But I want to see that to before I judge it, because I'm weary when Hollywood, how we were just talking about these Hollywood people subverting these good things. But I would check out Screw Tape Letters. It when you read it, you're like, this is exactly how it works. This is how demons operate, and like they whisper little things, and you'll then see your own thoughts differently. It's fascinating. But hey, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was a really fun conversation.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we could sit and let the conversation breathe a little bit.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, have a great night and stay safe out there.
Thanks. You guys too. Have a happy day. I'll talk to y'all later.
Awesome.
Bye.
Later.